Hey everyone, it's me, Danisha Lee, and this is What You Need When You Need It. This week we have the second episode of my conversation with Danisha Lee. I'm sure you all remember her. Let's jump right in.
That's what it is. Like, people are like, well, there's a Black experience. I'm like, yeah.
There
definitely is. And the empowerment you found through that and the community you found through that is the transformative power of love working. However, love is not in those spaces. If you look at, well, at least what Bell Hooks, would describe as love. It's not just providing. It's not just care. It's not just, it has to encompass respect. It has to encompass everything. And there is no real field that you see a holistic practice of love. Or even if it's like a theory, like in the church.
Yeah.
Love is a theory, but it may not always be practiced, right? Because we allow shaming.
Yes,
policy.
A lot of shaming.
Which
is one of the reasons I actually stopped going to church. I still believe in God and all of this other stuff, but
because God is love.
I feel like the church culture is not very conducive to self-love and free will and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. I don't think that it really is.
And when we ask ourselves why all these different systems don't practice their values, or why do all these systems go that way? Really think about it. It's because we allow a fudge zone in our life for shame. Shame's going to exist. But there's one thing for shame to exist, and there's another thing for us to allow space for it in our action. Allow space for it actively, knowingly, consciously, allowing a space for that without it being more of an acknowledgement of the force. So I tell people, the reason why we'll see it in the church, or the reason why we see it in the government, or the reason why we see it in schools, the reason why there's colorism within the Black community. We get the divide and conquer, but it's because we were nurtured in a society that taught us that. So we're going to embody the same principles that we're surrounded by.
We definitely perpetuate shame.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying if we allow space for lying, we're going to have a culture of liars. If we allow space for white supremacy or white supremacist constructs, we're not going to end racism. We're not anywhere near dismantling racism if we're still identifying with Black, because that was the white man's word before white men were even white. That was a supremacist word to be used. That's sort of well, how come there's no love, or how come these images of Blackness are depicted? Don't get mad at the way that Black people are depicted in the media, because Black was not created for empowerment. It's not rooted in love. That word isn't rooted in that. So we can't be mad at the representations. It can hurt our feelings. It can create environments. But ultimately, Black is not an empowering word. Black was only created for polar opposite. It was only created to perpetuate ideas. So we can change what it means, or we can create this system of autonomy, and feel beautiful within our Blackness. But we're still saying Black. We are still embracing that. And we're only conditioned to know Black because it was a life or death situation. People were brought over, said you're Black and this is why you're gonna die.
This is your status now.
This is your race. And I'm not Black. What's Black? People dead ass were I get my culture, but what is Black? Who's Black? What's Black? What does that mean? But then you pair that I don't know what it is to just relentless conditioning and genocide and violence. That's a traumatic experience.
It is.
You link that with identity. And you link that with identity. Of course, that's going to be that's why it stays that way. That's how Willie Lynch said you break a slave, is you shame them, and then they go with that, and then they don't question it because they're so stuck with the trauma of that experience. And I think that although there is such a significant Black experience, I know there is, but it is more, in my perspective, it is more problematic to identify as Black than it is to live the Black experience in America. Biggest picture. I think that. And so I tell people I get Black makes you have a community. It your experience is shaped by it. Society's going to treat you that way. But look, and that's a hateful system. I was rooted in love and vulnerability, contrary to popular belief, and look how easy that made my life. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of in anybody's life, so it's one of those things that we just need to question our sources.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why do we attribute this to this?
Mm-hmm.
What is it rooted in? Is that bigger than us? Is that something that existed before all time?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're religious, you would not then, if you look at the timeline for when race was created, and you look at the timeline for religious beliefs,
Yes.
clearly we were before we were a racial category. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
these systems came way later. Even identifying race through just physical characteristics and genes, that's what I mean, genes, not just the physical, because that's how slavery was skin color, but like genes being passed down.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a, race being more of a matter of genes wasn't evolved until the 1900s, because we had apartheid.
Mm-hmm.
So we had colonizers using genetics because they realized they couldn't use blood. Now, we didn't know that, but they realized they were going to have to like switch up how they did it because we weren't going to be able to find it. It's a lot harder to argue with genes than it is,
Yeah.
you know, to argue with that. It's a lot more visual because we're a visual species.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to compartmentalize if we attribute it to something biologic.
And especially since most slaves were not educated, actually a lot weren't
Mhm.
educated. So if somebody tells you something, you believe it.
Yeah.
And you just go with it.
And plus, with that, and it's also the fact that if you, when not all black people look the same like that argument, but like when we talk about characteristics, well, if you take into account Jim Crow, that made it illegal,
Mm-hmm.
right, to do something like that. If you take in our own physical limitations of traveling the world,
Mm-hmm.
right, and you put in all these systems in place to make it so we're not able to mix, whatever that means, or we're not able to mix our genes.
Yeah.
Not race, not anything else, but we're not able to have the amount of genetic variation that we would have if we just stayed the fucking what is it called?
What?
Pangea. That's it. You know what I'm
The
saying?
one big, yeah.
That
okay.
one big. Like,
Mhm.
if we had that space, you know, there would be way more diversity, right? Like in how our genes look, right? But then, you know, shit, you know, play tectonics, do this thing. You know, we move around, we face our limitations. But if we didn't have systems in play, they wouldn't be able to use genes. That's why they were so serious about not mixing the two, because then they were going to have to create a whole new system. They were like, shit, now that, you know, these slave masters are like raping black women,
Mhm.
now we're going to have to put colorism as a system of oppression because it's no longer so clear. It's no longer so us, them. It makes the ambiguousness so difficult. That's why when we see trans people and you don't know what to call them, people get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But trans wouldn't be a thing if we didn't have, and I'm not anti-trans, but we would not have trans or drag or anything like that
Mm-hmm.
if wearing makeup wasn't a woman's
Thing.
issue.
Yes.
Because their representation, their performance is what makes them trans. The performance is what makes them even want to change their physical aesthetic because they feel they have to conform to their bodies at that point to match their soul. But their soul is being represented as woman even if they have a penis. So it's like, how can their natural state of being is so contrary to what they see in the media and the messages? They're gonna feel like they were born in the wrong body instead of saying there's something wrong with the system. So I'm like, if you have a problem with trans, cut gender.
The system.
Cut gender. Like, if you have a problem with trans,
Yeah.
don't put men in a box because then they wouldn't feel conflicted.
And it wouldn't be a
And it
problem.
wouldn't be a thing. Or it wouldn't be for drag, for men, it wouldn't be considered to be drag or this performance.
Yeah.
It would just be men, or it would just be people existing and doing their thing if it wasn't such a, this is how you present yourself as a woman. Because it's only hyper-visualization. Even when you come out, this book, Levi's Lipstick and Lesbians, and they talk about when the butch femme binary came out, like in like the 60s and 70s, mainly in California, was because when they realized that they were able to have a space for queerness, they said, well, how am I going to present myself in a way that lets people know, basically peacocking, like how are they going to attract to me?
Yeah.
They're going to have to do hyper-visualization. So you're either going to have your high femmes, you know, which is representative of your role also, right, in these spaces. Because we're still basing on heteronormative values, which is why you see the butch binary, right, with that. And so I'm just sitting here like, if we didn't impose these ideas, if we didn't say that having a penis meant you have to wear this kind of clothes,
And
you didn't have to have this
way.
kind of mannerisms, then it would not be, it wouldn't be a category. It wouldn't be a demographic. We would have oneness. We would have diversity. We would have such a variation, you know? But we don't do that. So instead, we label it
Mm-hmm.
because they're like, okay, well, you're going to exist in this space. We're just going to label it. You're going to find empowerment, even if and like me identifying as masc, that made me feel strong for the first time because I felt like I didn't have to be femme.
Yeah.
No matter how hard people try to put me in that category, I was like, you know what, I'm going to maintain my masculinity, but I had to ask myself, what traits am I attributing masculinity to? Ooh, dominance? Ooh, am I that motherfucker trying to say that women are dominant? Let me not use masc anymore. Let me use something different. Let me just be. And then motherfuckers will be confused by my fluidness, within my gender.
It is very confusing because it's murky.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. But that's what I like though, because I've always been like that murky person. Mm-hmm. That's like, I always make people uncomfortable. Or they don't know. Even last night one of the guys was trying to have me he was trying to be my wingman. He's like, Danisha, you're making it hard. And I said, why? Because you don't look gay. And I was like, and I get that. But like, it's not about looking gay or whatever. I was like, I would hope that anyone that's attracted to me, regardless of wearing lipstick or they're not or the whatever, is just attracted to me. It's not about that. I've had partners like Tira who only want to be feminine. Tira did not want me to be masculine at all. Mm-hmm. At all. She wanted the trophy girlfriend.
Yeah.
Even though she's the epitome of like someone going against the norm.
Yes.
She still was
still that.
She still wanted that because we allow a space. So even saying masc and stuff, we're allowing a space for sexism within marginalized groups, accepting race as a fact or as a legitimate way to categorize yourself. Whether you find empowerment or not, you're by extension allowing a fudge zone for racism and white supremacy.
But it's so hard not to.
It's not.
It is because
it's uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable and it's difficult because that's your first instinct because that's all you know.
Because you're socialized that way.
Yeah, it's difficult for you to actually kind of realize that you're doing that.
Right. That's why most people, they go through their life and then they learn and then they undo. As like philosophers, they always say, ponder so you know the normal mind. Yeah. And I appreciate that. But that's why I'm so happy that all these people are popping out kids like Tic Tacs. Even though I'm sad because I'm not out there in the field enough to get these kids to know better. So I'm like seeing all these kids like doing gender reveal parties and stuff, like all these. And I'm like, no, don't do this. Like, I get it. I was like, I get it, but like it's so like, are you telling your kids, are you instilling in your kids the values that you want society to change? If you don't want racism, are you, aside from telling them that they're great and that racism is wrong, things like that, are you really giving them the tools necessary to do that? No, and that's okay because most people don't know anything about it. They only know how they've been socialized and the path of resistance and things like that. Easy, cozy life. I get that. But I'm hoping that, people keep popping their kids out and that I can like show up and help these kids, or even let me have a kid and I will show there's a test. Like literally, I can't wait to have a kid. I can, but like to literally have a kid, like I want my first kid's word to be like, race is a social construct.
Oh
like that's what I want their face to be, like dead ass. Like that would mean I would hate it. They turn out like my brother, but like and like because he's like the epitome of like that like black mask, like real. Men and women are like Mars and Venus, kind of like a he's that way. Like he's cool guy.
You would think somebody that's had to like live with you all their lives would,
because the reject of the feminine is so tough, and the fact that I'm a woman preaching about vulnerability is more normative to them of my role as a woman, because we already knew women
so
were.
If you were doing something else, like if you were talking about, let's see, our capabilities and all the things that we're capable of doing, then it would be more acceptable, or less
but even
acceptable.
Then, me talking about it is something that men don't do. Because one of the things that we're talking about with shame is if you teach boys to not cry, you think that you're shutting off one sector.
Yes,
but you're not. Because that's not how the brain works. You're shutting it all down. Yeah. So if you teach there's a difference between men and women, and then you also tailor that to everything else that we're socializing men and women from childhood, they're going to grow up rejecting the feminine. We see that in language. Bitch, cunt, pussy, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. We clearly see there's a reject of the feminine. So even women, enlightened women's, like philosophical women teaching people, men knew that women were capable of realizing things a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
That because we were, not because we're set up, we're set up differently a little bit genetically, but like, or like how we're wired, but bigger picture, we've allowed socially a space for women to talk,
Mm-hmm.
to feel, to do whatever. So that's why we mature faster.
Yeah.
Men are stunted. That's why they don't learn as fast. It's not because men are stupid. It's because they're stunted.
Yeah, because they're not allowed to feel or show that they feel things.
Right. Even if it's good or bad. They say don't cry because it's a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So anytime that they feel fragile, they're so scared to do that because it's a reject. Even
They
if it's so
overcompensate.
contrary to how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's why men die earlier. It's not because we're set up different. It's because they end up dying of heart failure. Most men die from heart failure because of the fact that shame hurts as bad as if I were to just like punch you right now. Physiologically, research shows that shame, even if it's like verbal, whatever, like that emotional pain is just as significant as like being in an abusive relationship.
I could see that.
You know, and we're in a national, like a global abusive relationship. You know, and so for my brother, I'm very much the opposite of him in that he didn't like that. Like he wasn't good in school, and me being good at school was a problem for him because it reminded him of his own shame that he put that on me, because that's what you're kind of taught to do, is you just put that on somebody else.
True.
You know, and things like that. So, you know, so I wish that I wasn't like a woman, because then it would be not seen as a natural progression of thought, you know, for women to be like, oh, I deserve my feelings, or I deserve this, or whatever. But it really made me, you know, it made me look at men differently in a healthier aspect.
Yeah.
You know, and not be so, I was
like,
never anti-men.
It's not really your fault.
Yeah, literally, I'm like, damn, masculinity is a force. Like, it's a force, you know, and I feel for it, you know, and I get it, because as much as I live my life through my womanness, you know, and from what I've been socialized to understand as a woman, the way I carry myself, the way I look, every little thing, it goes the exact same way.
Actually, yeah.
And men have the most potential for growth because of it. They have the most potential. We think women are these majestic creatures, and they are, right? Because we can give life, right? Because we can give life and all this. But imagine if men, let's say before, like, let's say, you know, when they started making that difference and like what was really allowed, you know, these like normative values, if men were taught to embrace vulnerability and shame, how powerful would they be? Because there must be a reason why we're so adamant on stunting them, and it's not just to keep them hard. There must be a real reason why we are emotionally limiting and psychologically limiting men. And I think it's because they have this untapped power source and contribution to the transformative power of love that we don't know.
Ooh, I'm just thinking of the consequences, or like the benefits, because children would be that much more stable and in themselves, basically. Right. Yeah, if they had two parents that are just like solid.
Allow that space.
Yeah, and like they can feel, they can teach you how to feel and all of those other things. So.
Because I have a cousin, like, I don't know if you've ever seen like my snaps when I'm like with little kids.
Yeah.
So they're like my little cousins, like my dad's family friends and stuff, and love them to death. And the parents are always getting on me because they'll ask me questions.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you have kids and all kind of stuff, and like they don't want me to answer any questions at all. And I get that because they're kids and it's whatever. But then
like, first of all, I'm in my 20s.
Really though, I know. And she's like, how old are you? I was like 23. She's like, why aren't you a mom yet? And I'm like, whoa, like let's talk about it. But they're like, no, Danisha, let's not talk about it.
Yeah.
But my Uncle Rel was telling Justin, who's 6, smart kid, great, he's phenomenal. And my dad wanted to give him a hug, and I was like, we don't hug, we give dad.
What?
And I said, imagine if boys were taught to love the feeling of intimacy
of somebody else,
and learning to give and receive love, that the reciprocity that comes with that. Men know how to receive it. It's still limited though. They know to receive it. They know that they're kind of entitled to that.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, which is why we see like that men and women is like the typical nuclear setup.
Yeah.
Not just for survival, for evolutionary purposes, but like for this, you know, supplementing each other's needs, you know, kind of a thing. But or emotional needs. But even my dad, because my dad's pretty deep, and he was like, why would you teach your son right now
Mm-hmm.
that he can't, like, I was like, imagine how strong of a man you would have as a son if you allowed him to hug men that he cared about.
Yeah.
If he was able to feel an embrace and not go his whole life really not ever touching somebody.
Yeah.
Like, imagine, like, I didn't hug anyone until I got to college. So I was the first one to really be like everyone thought I was standoffish because I didn't know how to embrace. I didn't know how to give and receive love.
Yeah.
If we teach little boys to give and receive love and nurture them different, even though it'd be very difficult for them to be around other boys, are those the kind of boys, not speaking to that character, but is that the vibe, is that the energy
that
you want your son to be around?
Yeah.
Because it's all a matter of energy. It's all about frequencies. Do you want that frequency around them? You know what I'm saying? Do you want that kind of shameful energy around kids who are the most in touch with
how to be
the
human.
Power of their humanness?
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like, why not nurture them that way?
Because kids don't learn how to hate people. Well, they don't know how to hate people until somebody teaches them.
Right, and people don't know what they're saying around newborns. They think that you just have to be mindful when they're toddlers.
No,
but I was like, they just got popped out the womb. Their whole life right now is about finding out what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
They may not know the language that you're using, but it's not about the language, because we see it doesn't matter if it's English, Spanish, or anything. It's not about the language. It's not about the words as much as the energy behind the words and the power behind the words.
Yeah.
So you're walking around talking on the phone with your newborn, calling someone a bitch. You don't think that little kid is picking up on that, or you don't think, but they pick it up. Mm-hmm. That's why you see kids trying to learn how to talk, because they've been hearing you talk for so long, but they're like, I got to make a noise. I got to do this. Or I'm going to walk.
That's acceptable. That's how they communicate. So I should do that.
Yeah, where it's like, well, that's how it is. And I just think that, you know, it's a lot, you know, for people to do, but it can be done. You know, it's possible, you know. I think it's possible for us to start really decolonizing our minds, and really, we need a new enlightenment era. And I don't know too many people that are really
willing to or ready
to die for it. My friend's like, Danisha, are you willing to lose your life for what you're saying? Because what you're saying is threatening everything. Major system at play. And I said, the thing is, since I feel the light in me and I feel the power of love within myself, even if this physical form is gone, I have such faith in that power that it will not just be cut because I'm gone. It won't.
So how do you feel about social media and how people are protesting?
That's why I don't like the Black Lives Matter movement, because of how reactionary everything is. I think that visibility, I get why it's a strong suit with how we navigate through our social world, and I get the feeling of connectedness, but you can research connection, and you'll know that you need a complex environment to be able to establish a genuine connection, and technology isn't a complex environment. It's a complex system, definitely, but it's not the complex environment necessary. You need face-to-face. We all know that. You need face-to-face to really have
Definitely, yeah.
So I think that social media is the perfect way for the higher up people to say, we're going to allow them a space to vent and to hate us. And but it's really not doing much. It's visible. It does impact things. Like Trump got elected, not elected, but he got But he was only seen as a powerful force within the Republican Party because he got all these votes.
Yes.
But it wasn't because of what he was saying. It was because of the fact that he was blown up on social media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I feel non-space is such a... And I'm like non-physical space. Non-space is like technology and all that.
Yeah.
I think non-space is slowing us down in ways that we're not willing to admit. I think that we see it as a way for us to get connected to the world, which is beautiful. But I think that we were doing fine before that. I think that we were able to get connected without that. That people, if you talk to older couples, they were able to have long, loving relationships without that. That when you had a long distance relationship, you had to have faith and love to do it. Even if that meant you were going to be uncomfortable because you can't talk to them, you don't know what's going on, you're not around them.
You got to deal with things on your own.
You got to deal with it, and then when they come back, that's your affirmation. Mm-hmm. That's your like, it did work out. I was worrying, and it wasn't for nothing. It was a testament to, the journey.
Yeah.
I think that I'm weaning off of social media now, or I use it to use my messages, and to share like little things. But even with doing that, I'm allowing a space for Apple to have sweatshops, to have sweatshops.
Definitely, yeah.
Paying the top 1%, basically the invisible folk, their pockets. So even when I post, I'm like, man, I love that my message can reach the masses.
Yeah.
But messages were able to reach the masses before technology.
By talking and connecting with actual human beings.
I think we're just too reactionary. I think that we need to understand that, like Trump, we can all say Trump's not a president, fuck Trump, I hate Trump, but he's still the president.
He is, yeah.
So all they're saying, because he's not the first racist, sexist president, he's just the first, like the outward, in our lifetime, he's the first outwardly problematic president, but other ones had slaves.
Yeah.
That's pretty overt racist, right? And so I think that we need to see that we are just showing them how distracted we are, or how we can we can blow up about something and protest and hit the streets and do all that kind of stuff and react strongly, but at the end of the day, all we are doing is reacting.
Yeah.
And they've already seen that they can get over that.
Yeah. The other day, my sister, after the election, we were talking on the phone, and she's like, there is a protest in downtown Oakland, and I'm not going because I know that bodily harm could actually happen. And I was like, yeah, but you could, we could post something on Instagram or like Facebook or Twitter, and that's okay. That's as much as we're willing to do.
Right. We're able to be a part, because like I said, we all long for connection. So we all want to show that we're connected. We all, we'll be on the bus. When I'm on the bus, I'll listen to music, but I'll watch people on their phones, and they're on Facebook. And why are you on Facebook? To get connected to people.
There's somebody right next to you.
But they're right there. Yeah. So it's like we're sitting here digging through a system and being reminded of the fact that we may not be worthy of connection all the time because no one's messaging us. Mm-hmm. Like for me, I hated going on social media for a long time because I always wanted friends. Yeah. I always wanted people that not just were cool with me, but actually wanted to hang out with me and be around me or talk to me or something like that. Or, me say something and people
respond,
talk, and not just be like, oh, there's Danisha saying what she's saying, even though we agree with her or don't agree with her, we're just going to let her do her thing. Yeah. Not realizing that if everyone's doing it, it's a bystander effect, and I'm kind of left by myself. Mm-hmm. I think that if we realize that Facebook and Instagram, although it is a way for us to get connected, it's a way bigger reminder to a lot of people of their own insecurities and their own shame and their own hey, I posted this, how come I don't get likes? It's because we're narcissists. Brene Brown looked at narcissism through the lens of vulnerability, realizing it's our fear of being ordinary. Mm-hmm. It's not a problem to be narcissistic because I get why it would be a problem to be narcissistic. But it's actually rooted in shame. Narcissism is rooted in shame. Mm-hmm. We don't think that because we're so shallow level looking at the narcissism. Without looking at it through the lens of vulnerability, saying they are just so desperate to not be ordinary that they're going to be as extraordinary as their mind will allow them to think that they are. And so I think that if people realize how much it can remind you of it, I hate looking at Instagram sometimes because I don't post pictures of myself anymore like I used to, but I also don't really post pictures with friends. I don't really take pictures with friends. I did for Vegas because they were there. People won't believe me, but I win if I don't.
Do you really have a life?
That's the thing. I also don't need to always take pictures when I'm out. I just want to be there, and
enjoy the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. But for me, I was like, dang. It was, for me, I was happy that everyone had their friends, but I was like, damn. Am I not worthy? Because I don't have people saying, Danisha, let's take pictures together. Danisha, I want to document that we're friends and show the world. Yeah. It may not be that at a conscious level, right? It's not intentional. Yeah. But you're reminded of your insecurities. And I think it's in a way that's more destructive than constructive. Because it would be, even though you could see your room for growth through social media, right? Like, I knew that I had to work on my confidence from being on social media. Mm-hmm. At the same time, that realization was in way more of a destructive space than it would be for me to be reaffirmed that I'm worthy of connection from putting my phone down and randomly talking to someone that I don't know.
And you learn so much too.
And being in that space and feeling that energy and feeling that and seeing your oneness. Mm-hmm. You know, feeling that connection that's bigger than yourself. Like, how do I not know you? And we just vibed, and we just, even if you didn't vibe, mm-hmm. that person now, you coexist in that moment. That is a powerful force. Yes. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to wean off of it. And everyone's like, well, if you're, you know, if you believe the things that you do, why are you just not on anything? Because I was nurtured in the way that I was. Mm-hmm. I was socialized in the way that I was. It's still difficult to lean into the discomfort. I'm allowing myself space to decompress. I'm allowing myself space to get to where I want to be. Mm-hmm. By having faith in the big picture goals and slowly start attributing that into my life. You know, and slowly start taking things out of my life. Slowly start weaning off of certain things.
Kind of. I heard this podcast where the guy was like, you have to be conscious of the things that you let into your mind, because at the end of the day, they will affect your subconscious. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if all you're getting from social media is negativity and like all of the bad things that are going on in the world, that's gonna reflect itself in your own life.
Definitely, and that's why when people, because I was always very honest about saying I care what people thought. Yeah. And everyone thought that was a sign of weakness. And I don't blame them. As much as I hated those people, I got that. Mm-hmm. Because socially, it is seen as weakness to look for validation. Even though validation and that reciprocity is a very key part in forming healthy connections and healthy bonds and self-worth even. You can't really achieve self-worth without community. Yeah. Because we know community from the day we're born. You see like 5 people in your face as soon as you pop out, whether you know it or not. Yep. And I told people, when they say they don't care about what people think, I was trying to communicate to them, and it wasn't until I learned about, learned how to communicate conscious versus subconscious, was at your conscious level, you may not care what people think, but your brain is so powerful that it does get into your subconscious. That's why teaching kids sticks and stones, that phrase, is really problematic, because you're dismissing the power of language seeping into your subconscious, because we only think it's physical. That's the only thing that can hurt you. Yeah. And if you say that, the words are still coming into your head. You still hear them. Yeah. But on the conscious level, you're like, well, it doesn't matter. But your subconscious is like, bitch, you thought it didn't matter. But I'm gonna expose how much it does matter by low feelings of self-worth. And things like that.
And words are insidious. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
They're at the root of so many things.
I think that saying really primed, because I heard that my whole life. Mm-hmm. That saying really primes us to desensitize ourselves to the discomfort of shame within language. Yeah. I think it allowed us space to not think about the ramifications that come from using that, and we underestimate the power of our brain. Yet we know it's so powerful. Yeah. We bank on it, right? Because of all these things that you need to have through thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Like, they know the mind is powerful. They're like, look how great humans are. We have drones and we have all kind of stuff. Okay, so if you know the mind is freaking powerful as shit, and you know that we only access a little bit of it. Yeah. Comparison to the whole thing, why would you want to tell people that it only matters what's on your conscious level of being, or that something's not going to get, like, you hear something, you can't unspeak words, so you know it's seeped into your head, but you just don't see it in your day-to-day life. You don't see how it affected you, but it does. Over it. That's how my sister passed away, is because she was told that she would die if she did not take care of her diabetes. Yeah. And every day she didn't take care of her diabetes, she woke up the next day. And she felt invincible. And she thought that. So her body was taking the hits. Yeah. But her brain was literally, or her consciousness was saying, I'm good. I'm fine. Yeah. I woke up. What are they talking about? Yeah. Oh, like, I get that. They're saying that. But it's not here until it hit her. Mm-hmm. And then that's when it was stage 3 kidney failure and infection in your blood and in your bones. And everything that was going on with her was a testament to the fact that she felt invincible, because she was living off of only the level of consciousness that she had, which I don't blame her, because she had a life of misfortune.
Yeah.
So I know shame and self-worth and all that were playing into a part of that. But that idea of out of sight, out of mind, I had no immediate ramifications. Like with lying, you don't get caught right away, you're fine. But low key, you're scared that that's just going to come back up.
Yeah,
and that's why when it does down the road, you're like, and even if you're living with it, and a month goes by, a year goes by, you kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
You know however much your brain will allow you to forget about it. So as soon as that comes back up, you will be way more of a sack of nerves at that point than you would have confronting at that point, because your subconscious had festered and literally was training your body to know that you did something outside of your comfort zone. You did something outside of your nature.
Yeah.
Even though deception is a very natural thing, we see that in nature with camouflage and things like that.
Yeah.
That's more survival. We are not doing anything right now. The bad decisions we are making are not, aside from like situational things, we're really not doing it as a matter of survival like it was in slavery. When we had to desensitize ourselves because the weak were going to get killed first.
Yeah.
It's not like animals that if you don't learn how to camouflage yourself, you're going to be picked.
Yeah.
We're doing it because we want to live comfortably. We're doing it because we want ease, or we're doing it because we want friends. We're not doing it because we are going to die. We're doing it because we don't know how to
live without
without
acceptance and all of this other stuff.
That's what I'm like. Let's just see what DC has to say.
I think that's an exciting adventure for you.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I think it'll be a good space for me, especially, embracing myself and learning about myself. Like once I started studying philosophy, I was like, hey, I'm like a philosopher in my own head. Like that's how my brain thinks. And then once I found that space, like I did in my CS classes, I was like, wow, that's why I don't let people tell me I overthink anymore. Because everyone used to. Yeah. And that made me hate myself, because I was in a room that was like where people were trying to shame me. Say, oh, you overthink, you make things into a big deal.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing that I was actually more of a natural researcher and a philosopher. But I limited myself. So it wasn't until I'm 23 years old, 6 months ago, that I started thinking that I actually had something to say. That I wasn't just someone that overthought something. I didn't see that I knew I was good in school, but I didn't feel smart. I didn't feel that my brain was beautiful. I didn't see the power in my thought process.
But you know so much, like half of the stuff you talk about, I'm just like, wow, I've never actually thought of those things.
Yeah, I don't make that connection.
I've never had a reason to think about those things, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's like, now people are like, oh, you overthink. I'm like, don't say that, because you're actually hindering people that could be philosophically inclined, or hindering natural researchers.
Yeah.
People were like, oh, you talk too much. And I was like, yeah, I get that. I've always been that way. Well, I didn't talk till I was 7, but then after that, it was all downhill. But for me, I've realized with certain things, I was talking like essay format. Like my brain would work there. Like I would have a thought and I would have all this stuff. So when I'm reading bell hooks or Brene Brown and they're writing the way that I think and my self-talk, like, I was like, wow, everyone that made me hate myself, literally these people are embodying that, and it's celebrated. And that's when I was like, you know what? I want to move to DC because I want to give myself a shot, because the things that I know has only stemmed from me hating myself and making me love myself. Now that I think I have something to say, I want it, like, this is when I'm finally like blossoming. Like this is when I'm finally gonna be like embracing who I am and seeing like what that attracts, like what frequencies that attracts from living authentically, quality, like who's gonna be around, what am I gonna learn, what opportunities. I only care about the ones that are coming from me being authentic, and present itself to me within these past 6 months. Because even though I've been myself, I'm more wholehearted. I embrace wholeheartedness now. Like I see, I'm still myself. This whole journey made me realize I'm still that talkative person from when I was a child. I'm still that vulnerable person from when I was a child. Yeah. The whole looking in retrospect and looking at my life and trying to change it and all that, my enlightenment literally just brought me back to my natural state that I was trying to fight from day one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as a child, yeah.
So was the discomfort of fitting in
worth it?
Bigger or more important than discomfort of living authentically? I wish I knew back then the power of leaning into the vulnerability of, even if people don't like you, I am only speaking love. If it'd be different if I was spewing hate and shame, and things like that. But people can't make me feel bad right now. I mean, they can, because I'm like a wuss to that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like, now that I see the value in what I'm saying, and I realize all I'm trying to communicate to people, all I'm trying to do is bring love to the world. All I'm trying to do is bring vulnerability out there.
You're not being evil.
Yeah, I trust that. Like, I trust that. Like, I was like, it'd be different if everyone was hating me because I was just like some lion person and I was just like a terrible friend and all this. But if people aren't gonna like me because I'm trying to spread love, that's the kind of dislike I want in my life. Because those are the challenges to your conviction that you need to be facing.
Yeah.
You know, I can't have love without shame. So I can't be a light without people trying to keep me in the dark. You just have to be willing to have faith in the light, you know? So I'm like, oh, now they thought I was bad before. Now they're stuck with a whole
10 times worse.
A whole different version. Because now I find vulnerability is great.
I like it. I'm gonna try it in my life.
You should. You can always hit me up, Danisha. How do I do
that?
that?
I will, yeah.
Really?
I will do that.
That's what I want to do for people. Is like just kind of help them. And I'm no help when I'm so big picture.
Yeah.
But I'm helpful because I allow a space. I'm like, that's okay. You're uncomfortable. I'm sorry to hear that, but be uncomfortable. Like no one's like, I don't want to be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable. It's okay. It's okay. Like it's fine.
Dang, I like it.
There you go. See.
What other questions do I have? Oh, I usually like asking the people on my podcast, what does your self-care routine look like?
I don't have that in my life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I never learned how to do that because I internalized that I wasn't worth anything for so long that I don't self-care. Like the self-care that I do is within my research and with me, and not like in the research, like in like the stuffy sense of the term, but like in my readings and in my works. That's self-love for me because it's allowing myself space to be my authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
But aside from like that, affirming that, you know, I'm on a decent path.
Yeah. I
really still am like my biggest problem.
Just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I still don't take. I still would not say I take care of myself well at all. Like I'm very fortunate to have a strong thought process, considering I still battle with anorexia, and I'm not nourishing my body even remotely to where you're supposed to. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, and I know none of us are, but I'm like less than a meal a day kind of a person. Ooh, yeah. I'm that person. That's why I'm very lucky to at least to present myself the way that I can, because I don't look sickly or nothing like that. Yeah. But I haven't really taken care of myself in that space. I've never really learned how to.
So you're working on
self-love. I'm working on it through finding the beauty in who I am. Yeah. And then hoping that translates to me wanting to take better care of myself. Okay. You know, because I want to be around and spread the stuff. I just don't know how to take care of myself. Yeah. I don't know how to give and receive love just yet.
It's a journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Work on it.
Okay.
Hoping.
And then lastly, what is one song that you can't get out of your mind or that you're just currently obsessed with?
Ooh, can I look at my iPod for that?
Yeah.
Because I have like a lot of songs in my head, but I'll tell you. Okay. Oh, that's awkward. I was in sync. I'm not going to talk about that right now. Yeah, I'm not talking about it. Okay. Okay. So a song that actually on Oprah's Super Soul Sessions, India Ari gave a lecture about self-love and vulnerability and authenticity. And she has a song called I Am Light.
I know that one, yeah.
That song really, she's always been like my spirit animal. Yep. But her message and then that song really helped me see and forgive myself for what my family's done, like she says. You know, for everything that makes me who I am, technically, wasn't who I was. It was what my family did. It was what I look like. It was how society perceived me. It was me being so caught up and feeling like I was broken you know, and me only identifying with it, my broken self. That her song, like, really, I was like, you're right.
For me.
I was like, you're so right. And yeah, like, you tell me about myself all you want. So that song definitely gives me a lot of power. And I probably sing it like 3 times a day. Ooh. And I don't really sing anymore.
What? But you're so good.
Thanks. I'm better now than I was, but I still don't sing as much.
Yeah.
That's why they're trying to get me out. Like, they're trying to have me photo shoots,
open mic night.
Literally, because I've been working on some poems.
Yeah.
So they're like, get back into poetry, get back into all of this, and I'm like,
okay.
I gotta. It's just that creative space. I feel like creativity is such a strong force.
Yeah.
That I feel like it's an expression of self-love. To allow yourself creative liberty.
Yeah.
To find the beauty in what you're doing. You have to kind of have the faith in what you're doing, and you know that this is what you're doing. And I cut all that creative stuff when depression really hit. I cut out singing, and you know that happens. You lose interest and things like that. But I feel like if I were to sing, that's doing something nice for myself, and that why would I be doing that?
Doing something nice for other people too.
Yeah, you know, ish.
It is, yeah.
I think for me, since I don't see it within myself, I was looking at other people, not to validate that I'm good or bad or whatever, but more of that I was like heard or I was seen, or that it was that people saw like, oh, that's her field, like that's what she likes to do. Like I've never had people like Danisha's the one that you go to about race, or she's the one that you go to about this. It was like, you know, get a sense of like I was valid. You know, I was validated in my work from people wanting to be in my space and talk about it. And I don't really have people in my life that are like, Danisha, I want to hear you talk, I want to hear you sing, I want to hear what you think about or anything like that. You know, what you draw, what you paint, your photos, your poems.
What?
Yeah, I do a lot. And people they don't want that in their space. It's like people don't want me in their space too often because I am such a force.
Yeah.
That it like killed that a little bit. But I got a bunch of people out there that are really excited for me to be out in DC and that are like, Danisha, you think like no one I know and you got to get out here. And I'm like, maybe I'll
make your mark on the world.
Maybe I'll just start giving myself some love and all that, you know, because I'm able to think what I do and, you know, feel wholehearted, and I don't even really care for myself too much, that I can only imagine what it would be like if I nourished myself.
Oh, yeah.
And practiced self-care. You know, my friend's like, Danisha, don't talk to me about spirituality until you, like, take care of your body. It's mind, body, and soul. So he's like, I don't want to hear you. He's like, Danisha, I don't want. He's like, you're good. He's like, I don't want to hear you until you start taking care of your body.
Yeah.
Because then you'll be on a new level of something.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, okay. He's like, not saying you're not speaking, but talk to me when you get
to that level.
When you get all of that. So
you're good.
You know, I'm hoping. You know, I'm trying. You know, branching out of my comfort zone more as an act of self-love. Even if it's torture to go through that process.
Yeah. That's
self-love or self-care-ish. People don't read discomfort as self-care, but I do. I think that's
I think I might start calling it that as well, or thinking of it that way.
At least try.
Yeah.
What's the worst that's going to happen? You're in an uncomfortable situation. You could choose to go the other way.
That is true. I've been trying. Like, I consciously decide not to be on my phone when I'm in a room with other people and I feel uncomfortable, like I can't speak to them. I've tried to put down my phone.
To not, like, numb yourself
from that awkwardness. With pretending that I'm on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, or texting. I just,
like how to not escape. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, because what are we running? Why are we running from it? Yeah.
Seriously, even, like, one of the things I watched a documentary on the war on drugs and the whole progression. But this guy made up a really good point, and it stuck with me, and he would say, we're so adamant on fighting the war on drugs, but why do people use drugs? Aside from what we know about, you know, drugs and what the war on drugs is really doing.
Yeah.
Ultimately, why are people
too scared
doing it? It's to numb themselves.
Yeah.
Even music. Although it makes us feel good, music is a way to numb ourselves.
Yeah.
To soothe, but to numb as well, because you're in a different space.
Yeah.
You can kind of get out of where you're at and be in a new space and embrace that, right? And I realized I was like, we should be having a war on pain. We should be addressing why are people needing to do this, and how do we get it, instead of just punishing them for trying to escape. We don't know. That's why I say why we're so dangerous as a species is because we don't know how to be afraid. We don't know how to be sad. We don't know how to be uncomfortable. We know that we have feelings and that makes us human. We know it, but literally it's like that fudge factor is allowing us to know and still not act. Just like when they started making race as a category, they even said in the books, like, people know there's a general, commonality, that there's an essential commonality amongst all humans. And even though we all know there's an essential commonality, and that's implied, we're still operating on this subculture. So it's kind of like, when are we going to start going off of the subculture and start going off of the fact that we are essentially, there's this commonality between us, that we're all humans. That we're all one. We need to start thinking about, oh, well, it's implied. No, it's not. Just like Family Guy, I get they're playing a joke on them, but what that's really doing for people that aren't media literate is reinforcing that. Or they're saying, hey, we are allowing a space for people to say that on the TV to the daily, all day, to the masses. That shows how much space we allow for that behavior. Instead of saying, if racism is wrong, let's not allow racist representations on the TV. If sexism is wrong, let's not bank off of shows that mock it. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't see that as mocking. You know what I'm saying? Or they do, but they're so caught up in the fact that it's funny. Or that everyone thinks. If it makes you
laugh, then it's not threatening.
Right. Yeah. But then we have to ask, why are we laughing? Like with sitcoms. That's why I studied sitcoms, because sitcoms, situational comedies, literally is like, everyone thinks this is funny, and that's why. But it's not. They're not represented off of how we are and trying to mock what we do. They're creating a normalized space. So even if you don't, like, I don't really have the biggest sense of humor. I do, but I don't. And so when I watch these shows, I may not laugh, but when you hear the audience laughing and it's supposed to be funny and the show's really popular, you start saying, hey, maybe there's like some normative value to this, and maybe this is a norm, maybe this is what people are saying, or maybe this is a situation that people are in all the time, and I should think it's funny, and you start reevaluating your own self to match up with that. You can force spaces through TV shows, and things like that. So I'm like, unless we're teaching media literacy from kindergarten on or preschool on, we should not be having shows like that on the internet or on the TV. Unless we're teaching media literacy, we cannot just write and just, take full advantage of the First Amendment.
Oh, that would be a great degree. I'm just thinking of all the classes you could take on
media literacy.
Yes.
There's a lot of but it's a lot, and the media literacy that you need for American TV would be ethnic studies. It would be like women's studies. Take one of those classes and they'll say, you ruined film for me, you ruined movies for me, you ruined this, and I'm like, good, because those movies you shouldn't be all lightheartedly enjoying. It's like, it's not ruining it, it's bringing light, it's holding the mirror to your face. We're laughing. That's why I wouldn't laugh at racist jokes, and everyone would be like, oh, Danisha's just a joke. And I was like, I don't think racism is funny. If I don't think racism is funny, I'm not gonna laugh along at a racist joke.
Just to make you feel better.
Just to perpetuate the fact that it's a problem, but not a problem enough for it to not be joked about. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we don't care as much. We're constantly desensitizing ourselves to it.
That is the world today.
By allowing it. And I'm that sensitive person that's there to say, hey guys, it's a little problematic. Can we talk about it? Is this really okay to laugh at?
They're like, oh, Danisha.
And they're like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, for you. Like, I'm doing it for you. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it so, people don't internalize that. I'm doing it so I'm helping their subconscious.
They don't even know it yet.
Because them laughing is teaching their subconscious something. It's like seeing these messages, saying it's funny, and your brain is going to adapt to the way that you are responding to these messages.
Even if you have to system.
Force it.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, okay. So I'm like, the moral compass is my way to pull your subconscious back up to the front and say, hey, I know you're trying to chill something on the back burner. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
You know, maybe let's talk about it on a conscious level. And then that will bring it back to your subconscious and manifest in a much better way. You know, if they don't like a moral compass, that's fine. You don't like the mirror being held up to you, maybe you shouldn't be doing things that you don't want to have put in your face.
That is true, but it's much easier to just not think about it.
It's easier, but it's harder because it
In
makes,
the long run,
it makes your life shitty.
It does.
You know, because we're going to feel like we're not enough ever. We're going to feel like we don't matter. We're going to, you know, have regrets. We're going to wish we didn't do things and we told somebody something or we did these kind of things, which is natural.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, because we all long for more and we all want more and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, we need to get out of the comfort zone.
I agree.
You know, because if Angela Davis, you know, she's saying give it to the prison industrial complex, great. Now, let's say we do that, that's going to not only take time, right, but it's going to make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Yes.
Now,
reintegrating, yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm saying if we don't teach people about vulnerability and shame and look at the prison industrial complex through that lens, and our reactions through the lens of vulnerability and shame, our own reactions to things, not through our own experiences, but just solely through the lens of vulnerability.
Yeah.
And the lens of shame, not your experience with it or anything like that. We can't expect the abolishment of the criminal justice system or the criminal justice system and the prison industrial complex if we are not willing to lean into the discomfort of wholehearted change. We want things to be different. You want to change the Constitution? By all means, it's going to take you a long time to do so. It's going to have a lot of kickback. Is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? You got to ask. Like, I even hate talking sometimes. I get we're social people, but I hate talking because I hear it in my language. Shame, normativity.
Because there's no other way at the moment to.
At the moment, we don't know
with
it.
Other people, yeah.
And instead of as a unit with how powerful we are and how collective we can be, even a small demographic, if we were to really collect and say, you know what, we don't know what to do, because most people when they hear me talk, they say about vulnerability and shame, they're like, okay, well, what are you going to do about this? Oh, what's your answer to this? And I'm like, why would I have the answers? Like, why people are expecting me to
have a solution.
Have the solution too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, it's not about having a solution. It's about embracing the journey and trusting that what's rooted, where your journey is rooted from, those intentions are going to manifest itself in time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like just have faith in that process. They don't. And it's scary, and I get it, but it's like you can literally you can destroy a company. It would just take years to do so. We could literally go into a school and like try to buy the school and like take back the school. We'd have to be in these boring meetings and we have to do all of this legal stuff, and they do all of that because it's so possible to take over the school. They just want to make it so you want to go back to your cozy life and of pretend, not doing that.
Don't put in the work.
So it's like we could change, we could root or uproot what we're rooting the government in, change it up, and put in a love ethic. That's going to require people to know the skills to know how to handle vulnerability. And the only skills that I can teach people to embrace vulnerability and shame is to understand what they are, what vulnerability is, and what shame is. Know it well enough to be able to look at a situation through that lens. And not even in like an academic sense. But like, what does this mean? How is this related to disconnect? Like disconnecting from love? Or how is this related to, love? Like, how is this rooted in love? Or how is this rooted in shame? And realize that sometimes I'm just like, Danisha, like, I'm that person that gets nervous in the car before I go out because I got a lot of space for that. Instead of internalizing that as, I'm a loser, or I'm just awkward, or I'm this. Just say, you know what, it is okay for me to do this because society has made it so I won't feel like I'm not enough to be a good time.
Yeah.
Society has made me feel that level of discomfort. That's not because the force is that strong or is that like problematic or whatever. It's really because society made it so difficult for you to get out of how you've been conditioned for a reason. Discomfort is that, I'm just like, people need to.
Doesn't want any woke people in the house.
There's people that aren't really, they think they're woke.
But they're not. I've seen a lot of,
But they're not, and they're woke in some regards, but they're really.
But at least they're trying.
I'm happy about it, but like I said, they got a little room for
growth.
And so do I. But I have certain skills down that, the people that have what I don't need to learn. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Oh my God, that was 2 hours.
Oh, awkward. Wait, that was recording me this whole time?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was tricky.
No.
I didn't know that.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're fine. I don't care.
Oh.
But now you're stuck with it and you're going to have to work with it.
I like all of that, so
Just
you're good.
I know you have something to do.
I do.
I don't know what
But
time it
it's
is.
8. So do you want to say bye to the audience?
Oh.
Do you want to say anything? Do you want them to follow you? Anything? Or are you good?
I would say look out for what I have coming within this past year. That there's going to be some new material that we're not ready for, but we're in need of. So look out. Listen to Lydia and what do you have to say.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And just share the light, really. That's really it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You got it, Lydia.
That was awesome.
Yay.
Yay.
There you go.
Okay, so it looks like that's all I have for you this week, but make sure that you tune in every Friday, same time, same place. And please send me those questions. What do you want me to talk about? Let me know, okay? You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at elshampole, or you can also go to my website, which is elshampole.com, and send me a direct email. All right? Till next time.